Because it's recording, but it didn't announce it. So over on this one, if you do the participants so they can see who's on.
Yeah.
And then it does have the little recording symbol, so it is recording. I just don't know why I didn't say it.
Okay, perfect. All right, so good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Atchison County Commission meeting for Tuesday, October 28th. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and our finance director will provide roll call.
Commissioner Quinn.
Present.
Commissioner Knoll.
Here.
Commissioner Campbell.
Here.
Thank you. Please stand. We have the invocation this morning with Mr. Cormode, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Before I pray with you, I want you to listen to the words of Psalm 101. I will sing of your love and justice. To you, O Lord, I will sing praise. I will be careful to lead a blameless life. When will you come to me? I will conduct the affairs of my house with a blameless heart. I will not look with approval on anything that is vile. I will hate what is faithless people do. I will have no part in them. The perverse of heart shall be far from me. I shall have nothing to do with what is evil. Whoever slanders their neighbor in secret, I will put to silence. Whoever has haughty eyes and a proud heart, I will not tolerate. My eyes will be faithful in the land, that they may dwell with me. The one whose walk is blameless will minister to me. No one who practices deceit will dwell in my house. The one who speaks falsely will not. No one who speaks falsely will stand in my presence. Every morning, I will put to silence all the wicked in the land. I will cut off every evildoer from the city of the Lord. The opportunity to do good stands always before you. The responsibility to protect from evil is always your responsibility. Let's pray. Father in heaven, thank you for the commissioners that lead and guide our county. I pray, Father, this morning that as they consider the matters that deal with us day by day, that they will have your heart, they will have your wisdom, they will have your strength to make good and right decisions for the leadership of this county. Give them both courage and wisdom and stamina in this day. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, thank you. Personal comment.
Yep, public comments up next. So
I've enjoyed these times when I come to share with you. I hope you do. I have announced that I'm retiring from Cummings Christian Church at the end of this calendar year. And just to kind of underscore the retirement, my wife and I are planning to spend January and February in Tucson, where our son lives.
nice.
So,
That's awesome.
Come March, if you invite me back, I'll still be interested to accept your invitation, but I won't do it as the minister at Cummings Christian Church. It'll just be James Kermode.
Okay, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
But I'll still be here in November and December if you ask, but
Okay,
Sure.
yep,
thank you, sir.
we'd love to have you. Okay, any other public comment? Coach, you here for public comment or the NRP discussion? Okay. All right, so no other public comment. Approval of the agenda. Before I ask for an approval, there's some additions. Joe Snyder's going to give an update on Bridge 290 under his recommendation of Ottawa Road. Unfinished business, we have the MOU for Project Concern, as well as discussion of the solid waste fees. So with those additions, I would look for a motion to approve this week's agenda.
So
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0. The consent agenda, we had received a copy of the regular meeting minutes from October 21st, and then the finance director will give his update as well.
Good morning.
Morning.
So this week we don't have any payroll. The expense total for Wednesday, October 29th Accounts payable check date is 91,497.02. Out of that total, credit cards is $2,097.99. There's no negative cash balances on this AP run.
Okay, thank you. With that, I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
So
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This is 3-0. All right, Commissioner comments. Commissioner Campbell?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the city for inviting a discussion on the NRP. There was a good discussion, productive. There was a member from 409 and the city of Effingham in attendance. And so we want to continue that discussion here today and then moving forward, and we'll eventually accomplish what we set out to do, but I want to thank the city for that. Also, I've got an adult corrections meeting tomorrow, so I'll be attending that.
Commissioner Knoll?
I want to congratulate our esteemed county councilor for his appointment to the bench. The governor appointed him, was it last Wednesday? Yes. That the announcement came out. That's our mess. This morning, we had a working breakfast to celebrate amongst ourselves. We wish him very well. All the best. We're going to miss you as county councilor, but onward and upward, and congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, congratulations.
A lot of support from the county, so thank you.
All right, I also had congratulating Mr. Henderson, so thanks for doing that, Commissioner Knoll. The Kiwanis Parade was this weekend, and congratulations to a successful parade. It was awesome. Jonathan Mize was the Grand Marshal, and commissioners and the county clerk walked with them to promote the America 250 in Atchison. So definitely looking forward to that. It was a great turnout downtown. Like to see so many people down enjoying time together. So that was awesome. Also, thank you to Care Radio. We had the opportunity to have be the Monday morning guest yesterday morning with Brian Hagan. So thank you to Mrs. Couch and Brian Hagan for having us. It was a lot of fun. I usually get nervous at those type of things, but it was great. We were just able to share and visit about county business and really got the word out. And so love hearing from listeners that they heard us and they found what we had to say beneficial. So that was good. Also, I wanted to read, there's going to be some changes to the Register of Deeds office. So I'm just going to read this directly from her office. As many of you know, due to the recent county budget cuts, several offices are experiencing staff reductions, and unfortunately, the Register of Deeds office was included in these changes. So effective December 15th, the Register of Deeds office will transition from a 3-person staff to 2-person team. Because of this, there may be times when only one staff member is available in the office due to vacations, sick days, or other circumstances. To maintain safety and awareness, especially when only one person is present, they are going to be implementing a doorbell entry system starting yesterday, Monday, October 27th. So their office doors are going to remain locked, but just push the doorbell and a staff member will promptly assist you in their office. And they definitely appreciate your understanding and patience as they adjust to the changes and continue to serve the public as efficiently as possible. So very much appreciated Blair getting that information out to the public and wanted to share it in any manner possible. I heard it on Care this morning, so Brian had it on there. So just appreciate getting information out quickly. So that is all I have. There's no petitions or proclamations this morning. So first up, we have Mark Zeltner, Finance Director, consideration of PO for IT annual access renewals and designation of K-Camp voting delegate and alternate.
Okay, so before I get to those two items, there was one thing that came up. After I set those on the agenda. So last month, we paid out money to Extension Council for their second half of their appropriation. At that time, we lessened it by a dollar value because we didn't have enough in the fund. There weren't enough taxes paid to fund the full appropriation. So now that the October distribution has went through, that leaves a balance of $2,125.58 in the fund. We still owe them $1,975.82. So I have a purchase order to pay out that remaining to them. The full appropriation amount should have been $69,267. We paid them $67,291.18. So this would come out of the Extension Council budget and fund.
Look for a motion to approve the purchase order as presented by our Finance Director to Extension Council in the amount of $1975.82.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This is.
Okay, so for IT purchase orders, the first one I have is to K.S.A, which they are the company that helped us with the cyber incident that occurred this year. With them helping us, we established a contract with them to help get software on our computers to mitigate that from occurring in the future. This is an annual fee for $7,150 with K.S.A. It is for services called Sentinel-1. I believe you heard Scott talk to you about that before, and he put it on each of the computers. So he had told me that it's similar to the antivirus software that we used to have. It records events, logs, so that they could see or pinpoint if we ever get infected in the future with a cyber attack, they can trace it, track it down, and figure out exactly what happened. We did not have that technology before. It was just, we had no idea where it came through. Then it kind of trickled down to an office, but not a user or why. So this prevents that. So this is to K.S.A out of the IT budget for $7,150.
Look for a motion to approve the purchase order as presented by our Finance Director out of the IT budget for $7,150 to K.S.A.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
Did we get like a insurance payout on that? Are we still waiting on that or?
No, we received it.
Okay.
And then it offset our costs. So
Good.
we just had to pay the deductible essentially. Okay, the second one is to Converge-1 for the Dell renewal. This houses all of our data and virtual servers and allows software updates and support. Without this, we would not have software support and maintenance. So if the IT department needed help with any Dell computer that we have, we would not have it. So the total is $6,212.50 budgeted out of the IT department.
Look for a motion to approve the purchase order as presented by our Finance Director to Converge-1 in the amount of $6,212.50 out of the IT budget.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This is 3-0.
Okay, the third and final one is to converge one as well. This is for the SmartNet renewal. The last time we paid this was October of 24 for $7,127.30. This renewal is for $6,940.34, so a couple $100 less. And that's because we went through the cyber attack, which made us take a hard look at what we needed. So with dropping off some of the things we didn't need, kind of reduced the price on covering what we do have. So it's a little less this time. But this covers all the switches, the courthouse firewall, the VPN, licensing and software, how you guys can access the courthouse from home is the VPN. And it allows the network to update to the latest version if there is an attack and we're shut down. The IT department can revert your computers back prior to the breach and still be functional with this piece of software. So it is to converge one out of the IT budget. It is budgeted for 25 for $6,940.34.
For a motion to approve the purchase order as presented by our finance director.
So
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Just to kind of wrap those up, my plan going forward is kind of being over the IT department at this time is to take all of, which I guess we can talk about this during budget time, but for me to be more organized, I need to take our renewals and put them in like categories so I know historically what we're spending on them to see any trends going up or down. I just think for me, budgeting will be better that way. So it's just something I'm going to implement going forward. So and to kind of know what's coming up. So it's like, if we, a couple months from now, we have another purchase order from or to converge one, and you guys say, well, we just had one of those. What's it for? It could be the same vendor, but different things, different renewal things. So anyway, just something I wanted to mention. Okay, the next thing is the K-Camp voting delegate and alternate. This is a form that K-Camp requires the county to have filled out if we want to participate in anything at K.A.C. This lets you vote on any legislative things that they want to pass through when they have their K.A.C. meeting. Basically, if you've ever been to a K-Camp meeting there at K.A.C., they have a morning breakfast legislative type discussion. They talk about issues that they want to go and present to legislature on behalf of the counties. So this is the time where the counties get together and cast their votes. If they want to pass something, have K-Camp do something or don't do something. So it requires one elected official to be the delegate and then an alternate. It could be an appointed official. So this year, the only folks that I know going is Holly, the appraiser. So I talked to her, she's willing to be the alternate. I don't know who we would have as the delegate. We could put one of the commissioners, we could put the county clerk. It doesn't mean that they have to go. It's just, we have to have an elected official on
remind
it.
me, what's the date on that?
It's the 8th, December 8th, 9th, and 10th,
December 8th, okay.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so this meeting is taking place Tuesday at 2:30. And it's in Wichita this year.
If you would decide to go, we'll have to cancel our meeting because that's the 9th is when I'm going to be gone
Okay.
for a medical procedure. So if you figure out and you want to go, we'll have to schedule accordingly.
What's your thoughts? Are you,
I'm unable to go this year.
okay?
I'm not even-
Ninth, you said the voting is on the 9th.
At 2:30.
I haven't been to it and
I think it's great for commissioners to go.
It's wonderful. You'll love it. It's
You
great.
put me down.
Okay. Are you guys okay with having Mr. Campbell as the delegate and then the appraiser as the alternate.
Sounds great.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we need to vote on that?
Yes, we do.
I'll make a motion to appoint James Campbell as the delegate and Holly, our appraiser, to be the, is it the vice
Alternate.
alternate, sorry.
I will second that motion. So it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
And I will give you this form to sign. I could fill out the email addresses and phone numbers later, but there is a thing for the chairman to sign. And then it will get passed to the county clerk and the county clerk will sign and then we'll get it submitted to K.S.A.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next we have Joe Snyder, Road and Bridge Superintendent with an agreement and recommendation of Ottawa Road Phase 3 award and a Bridge 290 update.
Good morning.
Morning.
Let me get the out. So we received our bids on Ottawa Road October 7th. And the engineered estimate for the 2 miles was $1,435,502.76. If that's what you can pass that around. We had a bid from King's Construction. You want me to split this out 1 mile at a time or just the 2 miles? How would you guys like for me to do that? Just the 2 miles?
Is what that
Yeah.
was, so.
So they came in with the lowest bid of $1,220,218.72. Lionel Weaver Construction was $1,355,094.20. And McEnany Construction was $1,412,403.95. It is my recommendation to go with King's Construction. They have the first 2 miles also. We awarded them the contract on the first 2 miles.
All right, I would look for a motion to take our road and bridge superintendent's recommendation and award our 2 miles of Ottawa Road Phase 3 to King's Construction in the amount of $1,220,218.72.
So
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 3-0.
And then here's the agreement to sign with that. And it would, they would start as soon as they get done with the first 2 miles. So it will be next year. The first project's supposed to start in March. So, but we have to keep bins. That's the our $1 million grant. We have to, do the 2 miles and then start the next 2. And then the tubes, the rest of the culverts. It's whatever you guys want to do. Here's this also. The culverts for us to start putting in are supposed to show up tomorrow. So as soon as the engineers get out there and set elevations, and we'll start putting in culverts. Bridge 290, excuse me, north of town on 314th Indian Hut. They've got 2 piers poured. They were driving abutment piling yesterday, and their intention, if the weather stays fit, is to have the bridge done and everything but the asphalt work before the weather gets bad. That's what they're hoping for. And then when it warms up, say May, when they open up the asphalt plants, then they will finish that project. So anybody have any questions about anything? All right. Well, thank you very much. You'll have a great day.
Yeah. Today.
All right.
Thank you. Perfect timing.
Yeah, okay.
Next is commissioners, so we have the discussion of the NRP on our schedule. So if you guys don't mind, I apologize, I couldn't make it last night. So if you could kind of want to give a recap of what
Yeah.
I missed and
Yeah, I couldn't make it.
So I happen to be there. Thank you for having us. I think we had a good conversation. It was productive. I've shared with these two this morning some of your ideas, and I think that's a positive sign. And it leads us to basically to go back in and basically reaccomplish the current NRP, make it to where we can all agree. And there's a question about how long that might take.
Yeah.
So there was, you guys requested to maybe push the deadline, or I don't know what the legal termination or terminology for that would be, but basically instead of December 1st, push it out, what, 60 days,
At least.
give
yeah,
or take.
I think that the general consensus of, we had USD 409 there, we had Commissioner Campbell, City Commission, and Effingham, City of Effingham.
Yeah.
And I think the general consensus in the room was from the other entities was to request some action from the county to, so that so that you don't withdraw as of your current deadline, giving all of us time to renegotiate the agreement so that there's not a period in between where the county's not part of the current NRP, which would happen, I think, November 30th or November 29th. But we haven't renegotiated a new agreement yet. So there'd be a window there of time where the plan is just, it's different than the current one and it's different than the future one. And it would just create a lot of confusion, as well as on our end, administrative issues for building permits and things of that nature. So the general consensus was if we all agree that we would like to renegotiate rather than have the county fully withdraw from the NRP or reevaluate the NRP, to have you all make some kind of decision either to extend the deadline or to rescind the previous resolution for withdrawal pending renegotiation of the interlocal agreement.
Yeah.
Because we all would like to have, I mean, we talked about it last night with those entities that are part of this. Some of them meet once a month. Some of them meet twice a month. So even the process of coming up with a new agreement that for each entity to approve is going to take at least 60 days of everyone actively being involved in the process. So, we only have 30 days left until the county's withdrawn under the current position. So
I was considering that, and my thought was, so we have 30 days. I would say to the commissioners, what if we, in that 30 days, we hammered out the details, and if we could get to a point where we could, the big three could agree on how that looks, then see what we have left and say, okay, we simply can't get this accomplished, to your point, and then push it another 30 if we had to. But that's my point, is that since in this 30 days, we've already committed, we talked about it this morning, that we are planning a meeting, with our key folks here, the administrators of the program. And we will, come up with using some of your ideas, and then some of ours will input it, and then push it out to you folks. And then once we get kind of because I know my concern would be, okay, let's just go ahead. If we went ahead and said no to the deadline that we've set, and we push it out now before we have an agreement, then it could kind of, it could push it out even further. But this way, if we can hammer it out in the next 30 days, and we're motivated to do that, and then decide that we can't do it before the deadline, push it out. I don't know. Does that sound?
Well, my thought is that a 90-day warning or withdrawal period has given, I'd say, any of the entities that are interested in signing up ample time to sign up.
Sign up for what?
For
There's been
the,
no proposal.
huh?
There's no proposal on the table.
But if they sign up now, wouldn't it have to honor the contract
Oh, you're
He's
talking
talking about-
contractors.
for the
Yeah,
contract?
so.
So I
of course,
don't
the
know why
savvy
having
ones-
to extend the sign up period would be such a big
So for a
part.
savvy builder who's doing a lot of work in the county, yeah, I think we've seen it. We've seen a increase in building permits, but at the same time, I've heard from many of them saying, you know, they are frustrated that they're taking on this extra risk over a deadline that we all agree.
What's the extra risk?
The extra risk is they're putting, you have to pay for your building permit up front. And if something and they're also committing that they're only allowed to take part in that NRP then if they break ground within a year and finish the project within 2 years. So they're doing this projection and hoping that there's not an economic downturn, that there's not a source supply problem or something else that pushes out construction past the deadline, and now all of a sudden they lose out on the NRP completely for that project. So they are doing a risk analysis. It is many of you business owners and business people, it's uncertainty is not good for business. And right now, when I speak with contractors, there's just a lot of uncertainty about this, and they don't know what it's going to look like. And they don't know, so then do I need to make sure I don't put any building permits in December? Because then we're in the scenario where if the county is not part of the NRP in December, for just the month of December, then the program is only 63% instead of 95% or whatever it happens to be. And that's not even taking into account the possible situations like I raised last night of someone who it's not necessarily a savvy contractor. They've been saving up for years to build a home or something in the city, and they're ready to go in December, and they submit their application. They didn't know any of this was going on, and now all of a sudden they don't get the program that they thought was in place. Does that, so I don't see, personally, my question is, I don't see the downside to just saying, hang on, we're all on the same page. We all want to cooperate and come up with a new agreement that works better for the county, and we're fine with that.
Yeah.
So let's just put that on pause for now, so we have time to all get together and work this out, because we're all public entities, and public entities move slow. It's kind of a feature rather than a bug in a lot of ways, right? Because we don't want to move fast and break things. Generally, sometimes we do, and that's okay. But I don't see the downside. And if you think there's a downside, please let me know. But I don't see it.
Quickly, I honestly, I'm encouraged by the fact that we stopped this process for us because, you know, we did see that improvements in NRP that could be made. Okay. And so I'm encouraged, I'll be frank with you, I'm encouraged to see the city has said, we see some too, that we see that we could better fit the NRP description, if you will, revitalization description. And you've come up with some ideas. We have some of our own. We can collaborate. We can add those. The fact that you're willing, I think, is a huge thing. I really do. I think it is because, you know, at the point where we were considering staying out of it completely, I just, I don't think that's where we want to be. We don't want to be, you know, the county that doesn't want to participate in growth. But of course, we also didn't want to be at that level and we didn't think the program as was instituted here, in this county, it actually fits the description of what it's supposed to be. So the fact that you're willing to, you know, work with us on it, I think is a big thing. That's a hurdle. I mean, that's a hurdle that I think we've already gotten over. So I'm not against some kind of extension as long as, I know, Pat, you brought up last night.
Yeah, I thought about it some. I think you wouldn't have a problem doing the extension.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think legally it wouldn't be an issue.
I just don't see that it's even an issue because.
I don't think it changes.
We've already,
mine either.
no, it doesn't. We've already discussed the fact that we're gonna make it a priority. We're gonna nail it down and then just, like I said, pass it to you and you guys can look it over. And I think we can have a consensus before the deadline. Now, whether or not we can get everybody to look at it and get that legal consensus before then, I just don't know if that's possible. You've been in this business longer than I have, so you two would understand kind of what he's talking about, you know, getting it circulated and getting it packaged.
Several of the entities only meet once per month, so if we're going to them with a proposal and then coming back for them to approve it, that's a 60-day process, unless they're going to review it and approve it at the same meeting. But for many of them, it may not be a big issue because
Oh, probably not.
for a township, for example, may not be a big issue.
Do you have any other thoughts to share?
I don't see the need to extend. The way it looks to me is that we don't have any safeguards. I mean, as far as if you had a large entity that wanted to come in and apply today, I mean, we would have to honor it. And we have, I mean, because there's no rules of keeping anybody out. I mean, and so why extend the opportunity for that to happen? We've already set the date as the 90 days.
Opportunity for growth. I don't understand the concern. If there's a big entity that comes in tomorrow, they're probably going to come in the city of Atchison, right? Are you expecting a giant? I mean, I don't. If you're
Not necessarily. What if
growth opportunities outside
theoretically, like a Tyson would come in and want to.
Tyson's going to do an IRB. It's same. We're talking with Nutrien. Nutrien's going to do an IRB. They're not going to do this program.
Well, we don't know what's out there. That's the reason it has to be a theoretical, correct?
Yeah.
I mean,
and so it to me, it seems like there's a push to, boy, we have to have this. We can't do without it. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Why not give it a breather?
Because it impacts smaller businesses. It doesn't impact Tyson. It doesn't impact Nutrien. It doesn't impact those large scale projects. You've seen, I mean, you guys have been part of the conversation with Nutrien. How long have we been talking with them? We've been talking with them for almost a year at this point.
Yeah.
And they haven't even bought the parcel yet. You know, like it's not, nobody comes in tomorrow and goes, oh, by the way, we're going to submit our NRP application for a $15 million project.
So they've got time. So they don't necessarily have to have the program open because they've got plenty of time because they've got maybe months or years before they would decide to do it.
That's not the use case. The use case is the individuals building homes, putting in small businesses, those kinds of things. And they're the ones that actually benefit from this program versus, you know, a large entity. That again, they're likely going to go for IRBs because they get more potential benefit out of that. And if they're big, if the project's big enough, they can afford the cost. This is beneficial because it's by right, like you said. And so then it's beneficial for smaller players. Somebody building their own home could access this program, right? Somebody
$3
improving their
million
own
for
business.
grain bins.
What's that?
$3 million for grain bins.
I've told you, I got no problem with that. The county chose to do that.
Correct. And that's the
So,
reason I'm saying as
but-
a county commissioner that we protect our interests. And our interest may not be to have another one of those in the queue right now. So when we shut that down, we gave the 90 days. I don't see a problem with that. And then we can renegotiate it, and that's going to shut the window of opportunity for another one of those.
Well, that's part of the negotiate, that's part of.
But it has
what
bigger
we-
impacts
we
than
would-
just that potential person putting in a grain silo.
To his point, that's one of the things we would address in the next 30
Yeah.
days, if we did that, and then that would be submitted to you all. So.
I have no problem with negotiating this
Yeah.
for the next 30 days. I mean, not just turn around today and say,
Well,
oh, we're going to extend it 3 months.
That-
No.
Well, my frustration, if I can be frank too, our frustration is we sent a letter back to you all within 3 days of getting that resolution. We've had 60 days and we got no official response.
Right.
So we've had 60 days to have these discussions. And now we're up against the holidays and now we're up against the deadline of 30 days. And so we've been open to this conversation the whole time.
Yeah.
But we received no official response. So I had conversations with individuals,
Mhm.
but I also understand that you are individuals when you're not acting as the board. And so nothing official came through, which is why the city commission requested to call that meeting on Monday night. And I know it was short notice and I apologize for that. It's based on everybody's schedules, but they did that proactively because they said at this point, we haven't gotten an official response. We don't know at this point, the only thing that we can actually officially act on and what we can officially tell people who ask us is county's withdrawing from the program on November 29th.
Well, you
But
touched.
that's
on-
not reality.
You-
And when I have the conversations with you, you say, well, we want to renegotiate, but that's. I wish that was the first letter that we got from you all was we would like to renegotiate the NRP and we would have said, great, let's have a joint workshop to do that next month. Well, what we got was, we're gone.
Mhm.
So we felt like we weren't part of that conversation.
I appreciate that perspective. So the intent of that was just to let everyone know that the county in the current form, right, is giving 90 days. And we have been doing individually due diligence to come up with what needs to be discussed and what this needs to look like for us that makes sense for taxpayers at a county level. But also we didn't want to throw a grenade into what's working for all of you, right? Because there's parameters for each of you and within your municipalities. For the county, there's no parameters. And that to me is a red flag, right? Of looking at the neighborhood revitalization area, right? Gives 3 definitions: an area in which there's a predominance of buildings or improvements, reason of dilapidation, deterioration, it's outlined. And I wasn't part of building it, right? But neighborhood revitalization for me is we need to look at the defined area, right? And in that, what I've been trying to do is, and I met with City of Effingham, Muskota's November 7th, but in reading the City of Atchison's strategic plan, right, identifying, okay, your goals are to increase housing options at all price points, to go hand in hand with the neighborhood revitalization, to identify blocks within the city so we can see a return on the program, right? Like, what does that look like? And looking at, the city land bank lots. There's 16 lots in a 4x6 block area that maybe that should be the target zone of, and I don't know what those look like, but we need to have those conversations. But for me, for the program, the length of the rebate, the percentage of the rebate, defining construction, because that's been a hurdle for our contractors. The minimum investment, I think, needs to be increased. Define the area metrics. If we define the area and go by what the neighborhood revitalization should mean, hopefully within that time period, you're going to see a before and after and be able to provide that, right? Like, we've rebated this and now look, this is this is what you're seeing. But for us, looking at the county, how it's been and looking at the history from 2013, just seeing back those dollars, right? For what we back into our budget per year is a roller coaster ride. I mean, it's 2013 was 91,720 and 2014 was 715,548. So, I mean, and then it was roughly $500,000 for 2026 this year. So I think in lieu of identifying what the NRP program looks like, there should also be a cap of what that looks like, right? And
Again, I don't.
and again, this, I just want to share my perspective with you guys because that it doesn't affect you guys in your dollars, right? Like when we look at who's distributing the NRP, the county number is significantly higher than any other taxing entity. And as taxpayers, you should want us to look at those things, right? And to say, hey, we support growth, but it has to match with fiscal responsibility and seeing a return on the programs that we're implementing. And
But you all understand too that dollar amount, yes, that's how much is being withheld this year. Every single dollar that you see every year is going to be coming into your budget.
No.
That number is actually a sign of, hey, get ready, we're gonna get this money in the future.
But
So when it goes up, it's actually a good thing.
currently
Because
though,
it doesn't actually reduce your revenue. Your revenue is the same. You would not have seen that at all.
but it's forcing the mill levy up, so the public is financing this.
It's not.
When the mill levy
changing your
goes up,
revenue.
everybody pays according to the mill levy.
It doesn't change your revenue. It does not. That number does not actually impact your mill levy. Because that number would not be there. That is, you did not, it's not money you had and it's been taken away. It's money you didn't have and you're going to get in 10 years instead of right away. So you never had that money. I never had that money. It's not, I mean.
I think what they're trying to say is, yeah. So it looks like it's elevated right now because we have to make up for it right now. They will get it eventually, but that's not the right now issue. They're not getting
It shouldn't impact your budget.
But it does.
It does.
But it shouldn't because your revenues are the same. Like, it's not money that you were like, oh, well, we were planning to get $500,000 and we're not going to get it. It's money that we were planning to get $0, but we're going to get 500 in 10 years.
Let me. I have to say something here. Listen, we understand the program. We've done our due diligence. We get it. We understand it. It's a trade-off. It's an incentive. Okay, and for anybody listening, it's an incentive. If I run my own business and I decide that I'm going to give customers an incentive to get them in the door, that's on me. I have to decide at what level I'm comfortable giving that incentive. And that is what this is. This is incentive for growth. We appreciate that. We want to be part of that. It's an incentive for growth. Now, at what level should the taxpayers be involved in that incentive? And that is what we're trying to decide here. And it's important. We were part of a $2.25 million reduction here in the county. So maybe that's why we are more intent on getting to the bottom of this, of what we need. And so that's where we are. We want to work with you, and we will work with you. This little, whether we're going to extend it or not, I appreciate, your sentiment on that. I don't think it'll be such a big impact if we're out for 2 months and get back in. I think if the public knows that we're working together, I think that's the biggest hurdle. If they understand that we're working together with you and that our plan is to get back in, I think that's the biggest hurdle because, but honestly, I am for us getting busy within the next 30 days, getting you the proposal, getting that
But can we be part of those conversations? I don't think it's necessarily
Well, we are.
fair for you guys to just throw a proposal at us and say, all right, now go. Can we have meetings and discuss this beforehand, so we're actually part of the, and 409 too, by the way, because 409 impacted more than the city. If you go through that list of 1,280 properties that have gone through the program in 30 years, only 11 have been outside of USD 409. Which means that their impact is essentially identical to you guys. It's 95% or whatever it is to what the county's impact. Ours is less because some of those weren't in the city and, you know, but 409 is bigger than just the city limits. And they're, you know, it's almost all within them. So I think that we all need to be in those discussions. That's kind of the frustration from the city side was you guys have done all this work. You're looking at our strategic plan. That's my give me a call.
Yeah,
No,
Give me a call.
absolutely.
Don't try to like interpret it yourself. It's our strategic plan. Like we can talk to you about that.
Yeah, no,
We should be
absolutely.
interviewing for these discussions.
I agree with almost everything you said, K.S.A. and Commissioner Campbell, your comments last night. I also have a very high confidence in Mr. Westhoff's ability to understand both the short term and the long term of this decision. And I think you have to look at both. And I don't know how quickly you feel you can work something out, but getting into this transitional period would be more problematic than having an extra meeting or two. And I would challenge us all to make sure that those meetings happen. I had to give up Chiefs tickets last night to go to that meeting, okay, so, oh, man. You know, I sort of understand it I'm a very simplistic person. When I got hired in college to coach football, the president told me you'd have 40 $1,200 scholarships. If you go over that, I'll fire you. I said, okay, you're the boss. I've recruited 40 guys, $1,200. I came back and said, hey, I spent that money. If I had 40 more, that's how much you'd spend, but this is how much you would make. He said, we don't have that rule anymore. You know, because you had to look at the long term also. And I understand the property tax issue and the impact on individual citizens and businesses. I'm both a citizen and a business owner. But also I agree that the unknowns for potential builders are probably more than they've ever been with tariffs and everything else. I had a recent building project in my business that we expedited things as fast as we could because our major thing was wood. And we had no idea what the price of wood was going to be 6 months from now or a year from now. So we moved forward with it just because of the unknown. So, and I see that sign above your head there, teamwork. And that's a pretty big word in my world. Okay, so I'm more optimistic now than I probably have ever been in my time on the city commission of the ability of the city and the county to work together. And I hope we all take that seriously as a challenge to do a better job for everybody. So if you think you can pound it out, let's go for it, but don't drop the ball either. You know, you put your money where your mouth is and come up with something. And I think all parties in the room is probably better than, you know, as long as we're all play big boy rules and girl rules and get along.
No, and I appreciate your input very much because that's one of the hardest things and the difference of the county and the city, right? Is like if you're not going to drop the ball because he's your quarterback and he's got it and he's running with it all the time. For us, it's like we meet on Tuesdays. We can't talk to one another by the time we adjourn till the time we see each other again. And so literally that's why I don't want to do anything without them because I'm trying to come with my own thoughts of like, this is my proposal. Like I've been throwing out shooting from the hip. You know, make it simple. Let's do 5 years. Let's do 65% or 95% if you use local contractors, like as an incentive to help shop local, you know, like I've been throwing and then, you know, it's good to hear, well, you don't want to hamstring someone like you to not use who they want to use in these projects. So it takes that back and forth discussion. And unfortunately with us only together, but I mean, we can adjourn now into a workshop if you guys have time and let's throw some ideas down and, you know, I'm all in because I've been throwing them around. I mean, you and I had ideas. I talked to Miss Commissioner Murphy, Commissioner Greenlee, anybody that I see. So
The other thing is, I guess I'm a little bit shocked that this hasn't been revisited multiple times since its inception
I agree.
and.
Well, it has.
That's-
This is the 2021 version.
Okay, all right.
And I think it was in 2016, I believe that the county,
8-year cycles or something like that.
yeah, but I think it was 2016 when it kind of expanded to the whole county. Before that, there were more focused
But I
areas.
think Roger's comments last night were right on about what is the meaning of the definition of this program?
Yeah.
You know,
Right there.
and it got away from that.
It's neighborhoods that need it, that it is a risk, right? It's a risk to invest in a neighborhood with dilapidation because you're like, wow, I'm building a brand new house here and I'm the only one currently. So it's the program absolutely has a purpose. And I feel like we have all of our communities, whether it's infill housing in Effingham on vacant lots or Atchison, Muskota, you know, there's a purpose and a place for this. It's just, to your point, I don't know why the county hasn't revisited it going, whoa, because when you start looking, it's like, we're out of whack from our seats of, we're not following the intent of the program. We're just wide open. And if you want to go get a new roof, you can fill out a rebate, right? Like, it's insane.
Free for all.
It's insane. So it's a slap in our own face to say, whoa, we need to take a look at this. The intent was not to cut your legs out from under you to give the 90-day notice, but we're holding ourselves to the fire of, we got to get something in place to give you to say, or with you to say, this is what works. And, you know, I feel like Effingham's all in to what works for them, you know, Muskota as well. Anybody, let's sit down and I think it needs to be simple. And from the county perspective, target, non-target, no, we should be incentivizing target areas for neighborhood revitalization, keep it simple, maybe less time, you know, and maybe that higher percentage rate to incentivize using local people right here at home because we have the talent and we have, you know, the resources. So again, that's just me, not them, but
I mean, I'm happy to stay for a workshop. There's also, if you're up against a time crunch and you're having a hard time with the coordination in a workshop or something like that, you can come to a consensus as a board of, you know, kind of what you would like to see and give direction to a staff member to do the negotiations on your behalf. So if you're up against a time crunch, that's something you can do. Just as a recommendation, if you don't want to expand the deadline, obviously it comes back to you for any kind of approval. But I would reiterate our request to have an extension. I think that 409 and City of Effingham also, you know, discussed and agreed with that last night at the meeting. To keep it clean, to keep everybody all on the same page, to show that collaboration and to have the time to actually iron this out so that we're all together instead of, you know, the county's out for a time period and then there's a whole new agreement. If anything else, I think that portrays to the public that we are all working together and that we are all on the same page.
Yeah, I personally, I don't see a negative in it. I don't think that somebody's gonna jump in that 60-day period before we revamp the program and try some kind of something. It's just not gonna happen. So I personally am one vote that would say we need to consider 60 days.
Yeah.
And then because we're sitting here, the key players are sitting here saying, we agree with the revamp. And that, to me, that is that's the elephant in the room. The fact that we agree on that is the big, and then the details, of course, will have to be hammered out, and then, as Pat says, well, you know, if this thing blows up, we can get back out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that simple. So I don't see a downside to it. guys, but that's my personal opinion. It's a three.
Well, it's the only major risk you're running is some huge investor comes in
Yeah,
and I bet in the long run we'd be happy they did, but anyway.
right, yeah, I don't see something like that, but yeah, everything is negotiable, everything's on the table.
Yeah.
And so, we got the city that understands that. So.
So I feel like I'd like to hold myself to, being accountable to the timeline. And when we said that in September 2nd, I knew it was December 1st. Like, we're here. It's October 28th. We're done with our budget. We're done with all of, like, we have time, right? Like, even though it's Tuesdays, we can plan. Everybody has their calendars. Let's look, let's do it. Let's get something to you. I mean, I don't know. We can sit here in a workshop and you can tell me what your target areas are. I was just trying to think on behalf of taxpayers. If you have city land bank lots, those could be in the vicinity, right? Because then if you can create building, take them off the exempt, incentivize them, they're in an area that there's already growth happening. Again, I want to hear from like you guys too. But I think shorter period.
What's the loss? What do we stand to lose by extending it?
Do we need to extend it?
I don't know.
Because from our,
I'm
like,
not against it. I'm
No.
saying, what do we stand to lose if it comes to that, though?
well, I think if it comes to that, I'd be open-minded to extend it, but if
Okay.
we can get it done, why not just get it done?
That's
I mean,
fine.
we know that we need target areas. And it
But
shouldn't,
even if every entity has theoretically agreed to it, and it's not signed on December 1st, then I'm passing along what I'm hearing from contractors and builders, so.
Yeah.
And again, from our side, we've seen this flood of building permits that
Yeah, and
Yeah, we've had-
that's because of the deadline.
didn't need to happen.
Yeah, that's
honestly.
because
If
of the
we were all
deadline.
gonna, if they had heard the city and the county are renegotiating the NRP, we wouldn't have gotten that.
so are you guys are in agreement to target areas, neighborhood that fits the
The-
criteria?
I mean, if you wanna get into like the details on it for us. I'd have to dig into that land bank map a little more in detail. I think our current. The issue with Atchison is in that strategic plan. We want infill, right? And so those infill lots are scattered. That's how this current target area, which has been a target area for a long time in the program, was trying to incorporate those areas throughout town that are not a monolith, but have little pieces in places that are struggling with infill.
May I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
If you would like, and you have any kind of demographic or physical considerations that you want considered to look at target areas, we can provide quick access to those kinds of things. Let's say you want to know where the land bank lots are. I can produce you a PDF of the land bank lots. You want to know where vacant lots are in town? I can produce you a quick map of vacant lots all over town. You want to know what values are? I can do that, but it's going to get cluttered. You put too much stuff on a map, it gets very cluttered. But I can help provide you with a lot of information. We drew those maps. It is easy for us, and I'm not suggesting that we have it anything strange in terms of lines, but whatever lines you want, we can draw lines wherever you want. We can create whatever you need in terms of target areas or anything else. All we're saying is we have gobs of information that we can work through to help you with. We can probably even print you a map of where all the current NRPs are and when they go off, and give you the year they're going off, and put that all on a map that you could take a look at. And it's not like those take us hours. We're dealing with databases and graphics. So we're willing to help with that in any way you would like.
Sure.
It's just, and again, the other comment I would make on the end of this in support of what the commissioner's saying is that they meet every week, so if in 3 weeks they say, yeah, we really need to extend this, they can still extend it. So, I know what you're saying is true. Contractors have a lot of unknowns out there. Interest rates are a big unknown right now too. Those drive me crazy. Property values are going crazy. We know all this stuff. They play in an all-in game.
Thank you, Roger, for that. I go back to this. I'm encouraged to hear you say that, you don't actually see any downside if we had to extend it. Because I think that's important because we can nail it down, I think, pretty quick. Some details. And if we can either work together or collaborate somehow, it doesn't matter to me, but.
Yeah.
But
That's just, I feel like a personal thing of mine of like, when you have a deadline, you meet it, like, period. Like, I mean, I'm just saying,
I
like,
get it.
when we haven't even got there yet, like,
It's
let's
30.
push ourselves to get to the table, to sit together, to figure it out. It's,
I mean, from our perspective, that's fine. It was a deadline and we started the conversation 2/3 of the way.
Yeah.
Through the deadline. So that's where all the other entities are saying, we don't meet every week.
Yeah.
We could use more time to figure this out with you. Because it is a partnership.
Yeah.
Figured out with you. Right?
Mhm.
That's what they want. And that's what we want.
I don't want to speak for them, but I would sense that the other entities will be happy that there's an ongoing program.
Yeah.
And that they're gonna be pretty quick to sign on with whatever compromise you come up with.
Generally
And
speaking, that's
something's better than nothing, kind of.
Something that
Absolute-
I would like to see as part of this is that after the program is ended, or say there's a block and there was 5 new houses put in, and when the program is over with, that there would be a rider on that property that couldn't be sold to a nonprofit. So they take, because this is about building tax base, and just to have a tax base that's non-taxable is not helpful either. So I think that having some kind of rider on that property would either have to pay this back if they were into a nonprofit, or they wouldn't be eligible for sale.
You'd have to ask your legal counsel on that. I can't imagine any scenario where I would recommend local government getting into the position of managing private real estate sales. Just personally, I think that's
But there's government money
It-
sunk into that for its
I get
creation.
that, and I understand that there's lots of things in grants and subsidies and stuff that have those in there. That would be a question for your council.
Yeah,
if that's
it'd have to
possible.
go through legal, but.
I don't know that, Yeah, so. If you wanted to start the copy, we have our 5 bullet points here. I think Commissioner Campbell. It's the same thing that we had from the meeting last night.
Okay.
But I'd pass it over to you earlier.
can we make a copy of that, just so we,
Make me one.
or you want one?
And it's really, it was just some ideas from my own too, but if you wanted to start with the boundary question, our initial recommendation is to provide the program at some tier within cities of the county or within the townships. If you wanted to include townships, that's up to you, but so that's our initial position, is to say we were okay with the idea still of a target and a non-target area tier, and having the target areas within the cities and non-target areas within the cities, and then have nothing within the unincorporated county, if that was your position that you wanted. So our first recommendation with boundaries was just say, limit it within cities, and then we can talk about target versus non-target within the cities. Because that for us, our hesitation with it, I think that we would end up, if we wanted to go with like every vacant lot in the city of Atchison, we'd end up with a really weird check mark target area that I don't think is perfectly reasonable either. And if we wanted to create real true target
Neighborhoods, yes.
and then also offer it within the city as a whole as a lower tier, but for people to continue to incentivize improving properties or that exist in what's not a neighborhood but is still within the city and is still something that's going to increase the tax base if they do that project. That's our first negotiation point recommendation is to squeeze it down within city limits, not just us, Effingham, Muskota, right, was part of, Lancaster was not, is that correct? If I recall.
That's right, they're not.
Yeah,
Uh,
Huron,
that's right,
yeah, Effingham, Benton Town.
and then the Benton Township. Now Benton's curious, you guys, you have the target area. Is it outside the township boundaries there? I don't really know that area that well.
I believe the whole township is
Is it the whole township? Okay, so, yeah, that's our first recommendation is just take it out of the unincorporated areas completely. Within the cities, have 2 tiers, target area, non-target area. And then we can talk about those tiers and minimums and maximums within those. But that's our first position if you're going to talk about boundaries.
So, and I feel like sticking with the reason of the neighborhood revitalization area should be the target area, the target neighborhood. But
we don't really have, we have some neighborhoods in Atchison, but Atchison is really unique too, because of the way it was developed north and south. That you can be driving through what seems like this is a neighborhood that really needs help and turn the corner and there's an 1800s Victorian mansion on the hill.
Right.
And so then that's not a target area because it has a nice home in it. That I agree that I think that we could get far more hyper detailed on the target areas if we could also have a lower tier within the city limits in general that's not a target area, which programs allow for.
Next to that Victorian home might be a sort of a shanty type
Right.
house, right next door to it. The other thing I would point out is that if you drive up 2nd Street right now, there are a number of new homes going in there, obviously.
Yep.
But there are also a half dozen that are rehabbing their homes because they've upped the game on 2nd Street there with the new homes.
Yep.
So those renovated homes are going to generate additional tax dollars. I don't know if any of them are in this program.
and I think that's exactly the point of the.
That's in the range of the Benedictine project. So you're exactly right. But show me another street where you're seeing that. You
7th Street.
The part of the reason that you're seeing that is because there are lighting, there's new sidewalks all the way up and down. It's it's kind of a target neighborhood.
But it hadn't happened.
Mhm.
It hadn't happened for a while.
Right, and you're right, there is, you invigorate that kind of notion that we should fix up our house, use the NRP, and we should, that's exactly right. So there's nothing wrong with that. I just,
I would guess that was the intent of the program.
That's what I was gonna say.
necessarily seeing it, and it's target area. It's a target,
Okay,
it's a
yeah,
target
but
area.
I think if we were to redraw it, if you force me to redraw it, I don't know that I would include 2nd Street. Like if we're saying we have to really hone in on an actual target area and exclude all else. And if you're wanting to look at vacant lots or land bank lots, that's not the area.
Yeah.
So that's actually a good point to what I'm requesting is that instead of that necessarily being part of this huge, almost citywide target area, because that's kind of how it's currently at. If that area could be part of a non-target area, but still receiving some rebates through the program to encourage exactly what's happening there, to continue happening there and in other neighborhoods that aren't targets, but you have the random house on the block that needs help.
Mhm.
And if you can say you get 2 years of a rebate, or 1 year of a rebate, or whatever it is, to do a big renovation project on this home, and all of a sudden you take the one blighted house in a neighborhood that's not a target neighborhood, but it's in the city, and they can make that project work. Because that's ultimately what, you know, from a homeowner's perspective too, right? Is if I'm gonna do a project, I'm calculating in that rebate that I might get to make the project viable for myself. As an individual homeowner, not looking at construction costs, right, of like a contractor side.
Yeah, I don't know. So what is your thought on breaking the current target area down into little parcels? What is,
So I mean, I'm open-minded, but my vision is you choose a neighborhood. Say, and I'm throwing out 4x6, I don't know, 4x6 block area, right? That is the target area. And you run the program for 5 years and you see the momentum and you see the change. So then you move to the next one and you see the change. Because to your point, your new city manager, right? Atchison's unique. You have these shanties and these great homes. Like, this program is not new. It's been there for 20 years and you can't identify the neighborhood revitalization because it's spread out. Like I just think you can see if we hone in on neighborhood revitalization, and maybe it's more than one neighborhood, right? Let's figure it out. But focus on your before, your after, what the program intended to do, and watch the revitalization. And then just keep going. Keep going. I don't know. To me, it's target, because otherwise, I think that probably was the point of, like, also as an elected official, having sustainable taxes that you don't need to have a rebate. Because I had someone tell me, I put a new shop up, right? And then I got taxed and it was ridiculous. Without the rebate, I couldn't have done that. Well, that's another issue. Taxes and rebates, and this particular program is for areas that have dilapidation, deterioration, need revitalization. So let's,
So there might be some of those south of town.
yeah,
There might be some of those north.
Yeah.
North, you know, I think we could all take a little drive. And
Yeah,
see if there's some areas.
100%.
and I think the timing though, here's the issue that I would say, and I'm surprised you didn't jump right back with this, but I look at that and I say, how is that possible? Because you've got areas all over town, right, that you're talking about, and the properties aren't gonna come available as you might set the boundaries. You might set boundaries in a 4 or 6 block area. Properties in that may not come available to revitalize. So you might just be sitting there waiting for the properties to come available before you can do that. So I don't know that that's
So I would
a strategy.
I would say that, yes. You could look at those neighborhoods in town and say, well, the program hasn't worked. Because there's still dilapidated properties. But you can also look at 1,200 properties have gone through in 30 years. But since we increased the program in 2016. It's 2/3, it's 1/3 of the properties since 2016. So 1/3 of the value in the whole program has gone through since we made it a little softer and a little wider doors. So I would be hesitant to clamp down on that, because ultimately then you'd be looking at what wasn't working. And we can say, again, this is kind of maybe the philosophical question, but that number on like your state form, it's gonna go up. And it's going up because of that momentum. It's going up because there has been and is currently development happening. That's a good thing.
It absolutely
And
is.
and every single dollar that you see on that state form is going to show up as revenue. So that number's gonna go up. So my concern is if we clamp way down on the program, that you're gonna stifle the momentum that opening it up maybe too much has created. So maybe we can clamp it down a little bit. But we would be super hesitant to say like the 4x6 block area. I don't think that's super viable.
So,
'Cause
and
like you say, within that block area, there might be some people that aren't interested.
Yeah.
I know of 2 properties where they're in dilapidation and people have offered to fix them up for free. And they won't do it.
Not a rebate, free.
We'll put a new porch on your house for free. No strings attached, you know, and they won't do it.
but to your point of when you start seeing it, then people do want to do it, like on Second Street,
But-
they do.
but some don't, so.
And then,
But I still like, which one, so then the conversation becomes, which development in town do we say you're not important? Or you don't get the program? We see development happening on Second Street and around Benedictine. We see development happening on 7th Street and around Elephant Park and the Black Business District. And we see continued development happening on Arbor Lane. And then we're seeing some down south as well. So which one do we go to that contractor and we say, you don't get the benefit that the other one is gonna get?
Is it are we still talking about the NRP program?
Yeah,
Or are we gonna
NRP.
come up with a second, or are we gonna come up with a second program? Because we've just discussed getting back to revitalization.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And our
when you
argument is
get,
that,
when you
yeah.
get outside the target area.
Yeah.
Then we're kind of out of that program.
I disagree, I guess I disagree,
Well-
like, the NRP programs allow for target areas and non-target areas, right?
You
Understanding
could
that,
say that within the target area.
huh?
You can actually do that within your current target area. You could actually make those two, the non-target and target, within the red area that you already have versus the bigger area. You see what I'm saying? You could actually do that if we wanted to do that. I'm not saying there's not a the benefit to the folks outside the target area. There's most certainly is a benefit, and we see it. I'm in the same. I go through that area every day, almost every day. So I know I know what's going on at Arbor Lane. What I'm saying is, should there be a separate program for those non-target? Because that's certainly not,
That's
not revitalization. It's something, it's improvement, it's growth, but it's not
But
revitalization.
the tool for it is to include it in an NRP and say it's non-target. That's the tool that we're providing to do
Okay,
that.
okay, well, and that's where our caps come in.
Yeah, absolutely, again,
Yeah.
if
Maybe-
you wanna start this
maybe-
conversation on just boundaries, that's what we
Okay,
want, right?
okay.
Is
Yeah.
non-target revitalization throughout the city. And then we can hone in on those target areas. It doesn't have to be a big red blob. The target areas can get smaller as long as we provide non-target for other areas.
Okay, yeah.
That's what we are okay
Yeah,
with.
I'm okay with that. And then, like we were talking about caps, and so that's where that would come in.
so from my perspective, though, to answer your question of which developer, like, where are you gonna say stop progress, right? That's happening is, I think for me, in getting a program right, is looking at the parameters of the program and saying, it going on the drive, right? And saying, okay, this neighborhood, regardless of who owns or is doing something currently, fits this criteria. So this, and the only reason I said 4x6 blocks is because with the current development happening, the current improvements, there's 38 lots from the city, Benedictine and investors that is happening in a 4x6 radius. They either own it and they're doing it, or so you could see a complete benefit in a 4x6 with 38 lots, and then hope that the neighbors are like, wow, like, look, I'm gonna improve mine, right? Like to start small. And so that's, I guess I don't want to get into the creating a program to support certain people doing things as versus the program that fits the parameters of a dilapidated neighborhood that needs help. And then hopefully the momentum happening will follow us to say, all right, now I want to be here because
So you're building this on how big cities do it. And we're not a big city. And neither is Effingham. That they have those hyper targeted areas. And because they're getting growth happening anyway in other areas. And the feedback that we get is that contractors have developed other parts of town, have moved to Atchison, brought their entire business here, right? Have taken risks in neighborhoods that you're probably going to be carving out of the future in that scenario, because it exists now. That they've done those things because it exists. And so I do think that would stifle growth. In the city.
targeting neighborhoods that are dilapidated.
No, removing it from
By spending less.
removing any tier.
Changing the current target. Yeah,
I'm open to changing the current target area. I just am not open to removing non-target lower tier from the rest of the city. Because then you don't end up with so scenario, right? Say you choose the 4x6 block around LFM Park that is currently being developed, and you say this is now the target area. Nobody else gets anything. Then you're less likely to have a new investor or a new contractor come in and go, well, I really like this area. This area over here has a potential too, but I'm not going to touch it because it's not part of this program. I'm going to wait and lobby to get that to be the next target area or whatever.
Feels like anything that would lower the investment in any place in the city of Atchison, you'd be opposed to. Because,
that's what I said.
well, but it seems, because it seemed like the thing changed here just a little bit ago, where now you didn't want, I mean, caps, oh yeah, said you would be welcome to look at that, but then when it comes down to having less investment, well, then you're going to the county will be stifling growth by not going along with the enhanced program or the complete county or citywide program. I mean, anything that's going to cut dollars by having some of these caps, things like that.
And we haven't talked about caps at all yet.
Well,
I'm talking about the boundaries, target area versus non-target area.
but you was talking about dollars going into an area.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
so
if
that's the next logical step, is you're gonna have caps would do that.
If you remove
Or
an area from it
boundaries,
completely.
different areas would do that, so.
If you remove an area from participation entirely, then the cap doesn't matter
Yeah,
in that area.
Well, but a cap could also, if you just left the boundaries alone and just put the cap down low, we could do that.
So
yeah,
I feel like with the population in Atchison and what our city looks like it's totally appropriate to have more than one target area. 100%. I'm just saying, like, just the blanket, right? Like, let's focus on some target areas so that we see the NRP and the neighborhood revitalized. And I'm not just singling out one for
I think that NRP programs allow for non-target tiers as well, and the city wants a non-target tier throughout the city.
yeah, and I think the way to handle that is to cap it. To me,
It's fine, yeah.
that gives us the power that we want, which is to lower the county's, bottom dollar, because I think I like the fact that we're seeing this growth. I love it. I've lived in, I went to Martin East, Martin West School. Those were my schools. That was my neighborhood. So I'm happy to see those houses go in. I'm happy to see growth in that area. So I think, to me, honestly, this makes sense. This target area makes sense to me. And I understand your point in seeing growth and then growth and then growth, and then you get this, hopefully you get this big picture eventually. I can't picture how that's feasible just because of the way lots come up. I understand that it is gonna be piecemeal, but you have to take that for what it is. I really, my thought is to get where we wanna be, it's gonna be through some of these other options here. I think caps on, you know, a home that's bid at 500,000. I don't think we should be incentivizing as the entire amount. I think the infills, if they're going for 250, 300,000, that should be our cap. We kind of discussed that last night a little bit. Maybe that could be the cap for the target and non-target areas, and that way you accomplish the same goal. You don't have, I think, but as far as the actual boundaries themselves, other than, I didn't quite understand why parts of, like Julia, Charles, George, that whole area. I'm not sure why that wasn't included. You guys know why that? Yeah, Branchton, do you guys know why that was? Pardon me? I
That's
didn't,
my neighborhood.
yeah, I don't know why that was, to me, is it because it's a newer, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, most of those homes were, Tech houses, all those homes, the one I live, all through there are all Tech houses.
In that neighborhood, but
One at a time, which is now taking place in the south here with Tech. Building those homes, but I don't think we can rely on them. It seemed to me that all the new houses at one point in time were the Tech houses. There were very few other homes being built. I'd like to throw in one other variable here is college pulls off this medical school thing. I would like to see that spur additional home building in this community. My fear is, as with the many current instructors and professors, they live elsewhere and teach here. Wouldn't we rather have them in the community and give them additional motivation? I know what most of them get paid now. That medical school, they're going to be paid better, is my expectation. Yeah. So I agree too that you put a, you know, this price tag gets this amount, this price tag gets, you know, minimal, but I think we want to encourage that growth because we're not going to have many of these potential opportunities to get boom, you know, an influx in a 2, 3, 4, 5 year period that we might with this. And I don't want any change in this process to deter that. I know most people think I'm prejudiced towards the college, and I am, but I'm also realistic about the community and their needs as well. So I think we got a potential here to get.
And you're talking about taxable properties, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, these are the professors are gonna live.
Can I ask a
Okay.
question? So you mentioned that a lot of the professors live out of town. So the NRP is here and active and available to everybody right now. Why are those professors choosing to live out of town
Well,
right now?
I can't speak for them, but I would guess probably 2 reasons. Lack of desirable housing,
But there's the ability to build. with
but and they
NRP.
don't want to build.
Mm.
So I said last night, I have no interest in building a home at this point and moving to another home. You know, but and some people would rather make the drive, or you know, a spouse has a job there and I'll bite the bullet and I'll make the drive kind of thing. But I think it's desirable housing is probably the issue. I spoke to one builder who built a very nice home that we went through a lot of commotion about on 5th Street. That was supposed to build another similar structure on 4th Street. And they said they've been very hesitant to move forward because they don't know who's gonna be in it. They don't think put anybody in that house. So I think the builders are they have to come up with somebody that can put the bill for the house they're building. They want to build it too, so.
Roger, you have some.
The map itself, when, if I remember correctly, and I don't know whether it was 13 or 16, whenever it was, it came up with that. The city actually came up with it. Most of the area that's in red was pre-1943 subdivision. The city itself has two sets of regulations. They have an infill regulation on the pre-1943 subdivisions and a regulation for the post-1943. So I think most of that area was the pre-1943 subdivisions, but they modified some lines to fit with highways rather than other things. They moved it so it would be easier to administer. So that's where that target area came from. And so in questions of why not this, why is that? A lot of the city is in subdivision work, and those subdivisions, for the most part, already have utilities. And what you're trying to do is take advantage on infill of not having to develop additional infrastructure, which is going to cost the city additional money to maintain, and instead use an infrastructure you're already required to maintain now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think you're right that does mostly fit the 43 plat or pre-43 plat.
Cause you got LC Chalice, Old Atchison, North Atchison. Old Atchison's actually the original town site of Atchison. North Atchison, South Atchison, and West Atchison. Those were the major, and West Atchison might be on the edge, but it was right in that 1940s, 1950s time period. And so it probably was included because there's a lot of little bitty housing going on in West Atchison, and a lot of those have not lasted as long as a lot of the old stately mansions and fine historic homes.
Yeah.
Does that make
Makes
sense?
So in terms of the so, I mean, I think that if we wanted to encourage well, I'll just say, we talked about, you had mentioned a cap. And a floor, I think, too, raising the floor and setting a ceiling.
To where there would be from, I think, is it currently 5,000?
Yeah,
Maybe 15 or 20.
yeah,
And-
absolutely.
And
Doing like a 22, and you know, maybe reducing if right now there's 3 levels, if we're bringing up a floor and setting a cap, maybe you only have 2.
Yep.
Right, you have a 20, maybe 20,000, like you said, 20,000 to 75,000 or 100, and then you have 100,000 to the cap. And maybe we talked last night about the idea that, you know, a lot of the homes that are kind of nice, but mid-level, right? Maybe a 3-bedroom house, family home that's not extremely well apportioned, that's an infill house, so it's not on a huge lot. Those are 250 ish range, 275. If you set a cap at an area like that, my hope would be it would encourage that kind of growth, and it would be less likely to discourage anyone who's building a home bigger than that. I think you'll probably end up with a weird little gap in the market. It's something you have to think about, right? If you provide a rebate with a cap at 250,000, somebody's going to do the cost benefit analysis and say, well, it doesn't really make sense for me to build a house at 275. I'm going to just build it at 250. Yeah, so you might end up with a weird little gap on the top of that cap. But realistically, if someone's going to build a $500,000 house, this is a nice benefit to them, and it might help make the project viable, but it's probably not the reason they're building a $500,000 house. It might be the reason somebody's building a $250,000 house or a $300,000 house. So having a cap there and saying you can access this program up to like where we think a reasonable family home is.
Yeah. Are we talking about housing only?
No, so I mean,
Well,
we get with that cap, we have in here commercial and industrial, and the only I don't know that industrial, honestly, I don't know that industrial makes sense, or these larger projects, because again, as I said, if someone comes in and they're spending $1 million on industrial or commercial project. IRB process, so there's other avenues to help that project out. And if you're spending that much, it's worth it to try to, because you have to spend a little bit more to get those. So if we wanted to talk about reducing that or eliminating that, I think that we would be open to that. What I would love to see is a smaller tier commercial reinvestment tier, specifically because of our downtown area that has quite a few businesses that could use it and frankly fall under revitalization as well, that could use an uplift, could use a reinvestment in the property. And I would be hesitant to get rid of that lower tier investment on the commercial side if we're gonna get rid of the upper one. And I don't know that it needs to be 10,000. You know, I think again, you can talk about raising that floor potentially, and setting a cap, right? Same idea. And then the other option is in each of these tiers, looking at the length.
Yeah.
For both the target, or if we continue with the non-target, the non-target can stay or go, whatever, in terms of the length. But I think that we're getting rid of these two tiers, you know, is instead of 10 years for that target neighborhood, 7, 6 years, I don't know. It's open, I'd be open to discussion on that. You can talk about the step down process, and if we want to reduce that a little bit, you know, that's, oh, sorry.
Roger, would you close the door, please? Thank you. Sorry.
The, you know, the step down process is there so that the property owner doesn't get a huge shock, you know, and they were getting a rebate and then all of a sudden they don't get anything at all. So but you know, we have it in there as a 5-year step down. If you want to change it to a 3-year step down and reduce, you know, or increase the amount per year that comes back, we can have that discussion too. So that gets that investment back full on the tax reals quicker.
You know, there's so many different things at play that we almost have to like run the scenario, you know, of that's what's going to take a little time, is to kind of run these things through to see how it manifests itself.
And I have full confidence in your finance director, and those scenarios are going to be extremely complicated to actually come up with a dollar amount, because you look at this and the way they're coming on and off the program, there's 300 properties, you know, that are coming off anytime between 2027 and 2042, I think. So like, what, you know, all of this is kind of theoretical in some ways. We're from our perspective, our goal with reworking this is to try to find that sweet spot to where the program is still appealing enough to, you know, latch onto the momentum that we have going. And I think rightfully that you can scale things back a little bit when you've got momentum. So I have zero problem with that. Without suddenly going, you know, too far the other way to where people go, okay, well, I'm going to just invest somewhere else. Which maybe that would happen and maybe it won't. Again, that's a little theoretical, right? I'm delivering the news that I hear from contractors and builders, and that's what they're saying, right?
Yep.
There is a sweet spot there where I'll keep doing what I'm doing. But if it goes away completely, or if it gets completely, you know, it knees cut out from under it, then I'd have to make business decisions about either doing business in the area or the scale of the business that I'm doing in the area.
I think keeping it simple for administrative as
Yep.
well, like target area 5 years, this percentage. I don't need to step down. I mean, if we're shortening the time to give them the rebate, like, I mean, yeah, I understand let them down easy, but also like the incentive is the reason, right? So I don't know. And you went back to 6 years. I mean, is 5 years something that you guys would entertain? And then nobody really said much about the local incentive, like you have one percentage to just do your project, right? But if you use all local, then you get a little bit more, a little.
Is that an administrative?
Yeah,
issue
that's
as
my
well?
concern.
No, I talked,
You talked.
yeah, I was brainstorming with them last week. I mean, right now it's, you know, this amount of investment, this goes down this many years, this target area, this non-target area, like keeping it just simple of target area, this percentage, maybe this percentage for 5 years, like. And then being able to look, you know, what does that equate to, and start keeping track of some matrix on an annual basis to see.
So, I guess. I would have to kind of maybe run that scenario through. I hadn't considered an idea of like a local. Buy local, rebate boost. The concern for me would be what percentage of what you bought for the house, because like same as maybe the discussion that is had at a federal level on tariffs, right? Maybe I can't buy that thing local, and I've talked with every
Yeah.
business locally, and they've said we can't get it. Well, and now I'm gonna lose this percentage if I go to Leavenworth and
Yeah.
buy it there.
No, I mean, we could get creative majority, right? Like, I just know in talking to our downtown businesses, many of our investors are already, but there are some that aren't.
Yeah.
And so it's just being mindful of, like, take care of those right here at home if we can, and giving them a little more of incentive to stay here.
If they think they can, so it's not an administrative issue on your end. I don't know what it would look like on a builder and contractors end where they're suddenly keeping receipts and turning them into
And we're getting our heads
the
together
treasurer.
next Monday with
Yeah.
our internal team, so we could throw that around, but just an idea. I mean,
I'm open to that. I think it's far more of an administrative headache than having a non-target area still.
Yeah.
And having, because that's just another tier, you know.
Were you talking about actually the materials being sourced locally, or a
Business.
homegrown contractor? Just having, if the contractor lives in Atchison County, if that's who you contract with, that would be the.
No,
I mean,
so.
yeah, I'm just open-minded for the discussion, because like when you take part in the program, you turn in all of your receipts anyway of like,
Sure.
this is the contractor, here's the expenses, you know, and it's pretty easy to see. I mean, I don't think anyone's gonna penalize for a contractor buying a light fixture from St. Joe, because that's where you get them, right? But it's just an idea to help local businesses and give a little more incentive, but
It's
we
not
can work.
80% Amazon. You know,
Right. Yeah, although again, if you're like. From a taxing perspective, if they're located here and they're buying it from Amazon. That sales tax still comes in, right? I would love for it to also go to a local business, but if it's a local business buying it. Like a local contractor buying it and having it come here, it's still a benefit to all of us too. Maybe not the double benefit of also, but I'm open to something like that. So what are your thoughts on I guess you said you wanted to kind of run some scenarios and think about raising up the floor and putting a cap and changing these tiers. Because that's the other thing, right, is that right now it's 10 years for over $100,000. So that's basically, usually that's gonna be a new home or a completely revamped home. So those lower tiers, it's 4 years or 8 years.
In looking at other counties, I liked to increase the investment. Several were utilizing the 25,000 even of like, here's the minimum investment, right? You go in and this is how you revitalize a neighborhood, that it takes more than $1,500, $5,000 to make an impact that you're looking for, right? And then also in looking at what we're rebating currently, I don't know. There's things that have been rebated that based on the rules that don't really fit the criteria either, but I think increasing the minimum investment, but as far as setting caps, I kind of have a hard time understanding that because I watched a new build at 7th and Unity go for 315, and that's a risk. That's a neighborhood revitalization. So why put but also you wouldn't have
That
you would-
cap,
the cap
if your cap was 300,000, that person would be in good shape.
if you're
it's-
within the target area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, regardless, if you put a cap, target, non-target, you kind of, you know, what you're saying is it's more of a revitalization
Yeah,
and you're,
it's amazing
right, that's.
to see.
That's what my initial thought was, you want a cap so that it doesn't really impede on the folks that are doing the infills. Okay, so you want it to be at least that level, but you want to send a message to the other folks, we support you, we just don't believe that, you know, we believe that the contractor or developer or homeowner, in this case, the NRP, it's the homeowner, right?
yeah.
You need to have skin in the game. You need to, you know, help pay for school taxes, help pay city taxes, county taxes. Be a part of the community, you know, instead of paying back at that level, the higher price homes, 100%, well, 95% for how many years, you know? So to me, that's all it is. That's putting the cap on does that, accomplishes that. It says, we're more about revitalization. We don't want to keep you out, but you know.
Yeah. We'll give you a little boost.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah.
Okay.
To part of the value.
And that way you're not affecting, to me, I like the target area. That's me personally, because
The current one.
because what my thought is, it's you have to piecemeal. You in this community, to your point, Mark, it's not, we don't have a luxury that we can build up 5 city blocks and then go to the next. We just, I understand that thought process, but I just don't think we have the ability to do that. I mean, you know how the infill lots come and go. I mean, we don't have the ability. So I think I like it. I would consider maybe expanding it to, you know, Branston or just some of those areas I didn't quite understand why they didn't catch the target. But regardless, if we set a cap, the target really isn't going to make a difference, honestly, at this point. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Because you're not really necessarily incentivizing just target versus non-target. If we, but, and then what were you thinking? We thought, what, 20,000? Is that a number you threw out? 15, 20,000 for the minimum on some of these?
I said 15 or 20. I was throwing figures out.
I mean, 20's an interesting level because I think for like a really small home, you couldn't do like a roof project
No.
for that. But for a larger, even, you know, by larger, I don't necessarily mean more expensive, right?
Mhm.
Some of our large homes are in bad shape and need a new roof. And so, you know, I think you could maybe capture that gap between all of a sudden a large roof and windows project, which can completely change a neighborhood, right, would be part of it. But something smaller that's just a little facelift isn't necessarily. So I think that we would, I mean, obviously I'm not totally speaking for the city commission, but I would take to them and recommend to them a 20,000 floor instead of 5,000.
Jesse, where do you sit on neighborhoods as far as, are you like, as far as the target area that's drawn out currently, you're good with that as well?
What do you mean good?
Well, or do you think it needs tweaked into neighborhoods versus that?
So I'm good with this.
Okay.
I don't think that, if what I'm hearing being said is that it's not so much, and I can be wrong, not so much the target area, it's what you folks are feeling like you're getting the short end of the stick. Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, I hope
No.
you don't take it like that. Well, from
That's
me at
not-
least.
That's not my feeling at all.
Okay, that's where I was coming from.
Um,
And
I think that to me, it's like, it became obvious as we got on with this, our current budget, and it's like, okay, what's changing here? What's going up? What, you do an analysis. And when we see raising ad valorem taxes to pay the, it's forcing our mill rate to go up because this program is expanding exponentially in the last few years. It's like, and then we start looking at it and now analyzing it. It's like, it's something, I mean, there are no protections, there's no limits, there's no nothing. To me, we're very vulnerable to not have any restrictions on this program at all. That's the reason I'm hesitant to extend it, because to me, by having a cap on, or a date to close it down, we were limiting our exposure to anything new, big, come on, that we can't handle. So, I mean, it had nothing to do with us versus them, or city versus county, or this is county business. This was county mill levy. This is what we're paying on the program. I mean, if you guys are happy with what you're paying on this program, I'm fine with that. I have no problem, and I'm not against the program. But to me, it seemed like it was kind of like a wake up. It's like, whoa, this has went up so much in the last 4 or 5 years. Where's it going to go in the next 5 years? And with the way that the taxes are going, we can't be, I mean, we're looking at everything. We're looking at all aspects of where the taxes are going. And so that was wholly, I know, and I think the reaction that we all experienced when we were actually analyzing how fast this is mushroomed, it was the big impetus on getting it started to, okay, let's put a pause on it. Let's then do study. I know every one of us have been looking into the program on our own. Of course, we can't, do it together out of the meeting, but there's been ideas coming from all three of us. So,
And I think my view is a little bit different. It was an eye opener for that $500,000. But then when I started requesting information like, hey, can I see everyone in the program, reading the rules of the program, reading the original intent in the Senate bill, I'm like, oh goodness, like we don't have parameters or are doing what this program is designed to do. So that's where I was. And then reading the rules and seeing some of the excluded things being rebated. Like there's been one thing after another through reviewing the program that I'm like, yeah, we need to get this right, because this isn't, we're not following the rules. We didn't encompass some of the things that need to be put in the literature for some of our third class cities. There were things missed, and so it's like, okay, let's review this and get it right from this seat and be able to articulate what that looks like. And so I'm a little different of just like, I'm looking at the program and the intent and going, let's get this right.
I just want to say one more time that line in your state form does not increase your mill levy. What it does is it delays the decrease in your mill levy. So that line without the program would be, so someone comes in and builds something new in the town or in the city or in the county, and they increase the tax base by doing that, right? So if all other factors remain equal, which never happens, if all other factors remain equal, because that person built that house, your mill levy comes down, right? Because your revenue went up and your expenses stayed the same. Everything else stayed the same. What this program does is it delays that reduction until a little ways down the road. So it's tricky because not everything else stays equal, right? Your expenses went up ultimately, right? The same as us. Your expenses went up, so the mill levy went up because that revenue was delayed. So the delay, that number line, that number on the state form, again, is telling you what you're going to get more in revenue. It's not saying that. So it's just a little nuance, I guess, but it doesn't actually increase your mill levy.
But we had to, that line item, we had to raise ad valorem tax to pay for the program.
I mean, that's just, it's looking at it kind of backwards, I think, is that it doesn't, you didn't have to raise that. You didn't have to raise ad valorem tax to pay for the program. You had to raise ad valorem taxes to pay for your expenses, which went up. And that line you didn't get, which
You're
should have
financing it
gotten.
with, the taxpayers are financing the increase.
Yeah, look, I'm not a nerd, okay, so I'm not an accountant. I'm not a, you know.
Well, I just
But
want to
I
clarify,
can-
'cause
I
it
can
means
tell you
that
this,
next year that number is gonna be bigger.
Okay,
But if everything else in your budget was the same, you would not have to increase the mill levy next year,
Okay.
even though that number got bigger.
mill levy aside, what I think, what I just want to point out is the fact that again, we are incentivizing growth. That's what this does. And so if I fund somebody's taxes for 10 years, that's exactly what I'm doing. And now, is it going to pay off in the long run? Is it going to pay off? Are we going to see a gain long-term from this? Of course we are.
Not
But short,
necessarily.
but okay.
Well, you are.
But short
You are
term,
100%.
Listen.
100%.
let's,
You're getting the money.
what we are doing though,
Not if it's sold to a nonprofit and
As
the
an-
taxes that,
as an
I
incentive,
mean,
you're not
how
guaranteed.
many of those are there gonna?
as an incentive, we are paying the taxes for somebody to
Which you received. So it's a pure in and out. It's a pure in and out.
Are there
Your
no
revenues
service?
went
Hold
up.
on.
Your
These are-
revenues went up.
We're service driven.
Your
We
revenues went up.
we collect taxes.
Yeah.
To provide services. So what's happening with this? If we're paying this back
Mhm.
for 10 years, 5 years, who's paying for those services for these families? I mean, I'm just asking.
No,
if the revenue-
yes, I understand that if
Okay, thank you.
if increased growth causes your expenses to go up, then yes, you're covering that difference. Same as us, right? Which is why we focus on
Of
infill.
course it does.
But what I'm saying is that, so for us, this 249,000 for next year.
Mhm.
That number is there because our ad valorem revenue went up that much. We can't pay back what we didn't collect. We're collecting it. Our revenue went up
Mhm.
and we're paying it back is zero. It's just a zero sum. So again, all else being equal, the program it doesn't actually increase the mill levy. If because of all the growth that's happening, you have to hire a new road and bridge worker, then yeah, it just impacted, your same with us, right? If because a new development's going in, we have to run pipe and road, then that new development costs the whole tax base.
Yeah.
Something. It might have paid off or not, depending on how the math works out. But all I'm saying is that this on its own, the neighborhood revitalization program, the RHID is a little different, but the neighborhood revitalization program is money in, money out in your budget each year. It's a zero sum.
So if that
As that
bottom
number
line
gets-
was zero for the city and the county, your revenue rate, neutral rate would still be the same that it is now.
Yeah, in theory, yes. And the same with.
But your mill levy wouldn't be the same.
But your mill levy might not be the same, but that depends on your expenses.
Your mill levy's going up.
It's all a matter, it's smoke and mirrors in the way you're looking at it, because the reality is they have to.
Plug it in.
project the growths that are going on in all of their things, and they still have to look at what are you all project increases in your values, and they're not getting those projected increases in values because those are going out the door. So it's just a matter of, I mean,
No.
you can tell them, look at it this way. But
No.
they've got to look at it this way.
No, because here's the point, right? Next year, that number's going up. Next year, that number's going up. But if your expenses stayed the same next year, if you had zero change in your expenses for next year, you would not have to increase your mill levy, even though that number went up.
That's correct. But
That's
you
what I'm saying.
plan on
This does
increases
not
in the value to help offset that mill levy. And since they're not getting those increases in value, the mill levy has been going up. That's where they.
Yeah,
ended
that's
up
not
this year.
because of the NRP. That's because of the market and that's because of expenses going up for everybody.
They're all contributing factors.
No, that's what I'm saying is it's not. If you zero everything else out,
But you
this is
can't.
not a contributing factor.
You can't ignore it.
Yeah.
But that's the point, is that so this is how you do an experiment, or this is how you do finances, right? If you, you want to look at what does this variable, how does this variable change my bottom line? Make everything else equal, and then change that variable and see if your bottom line changes. If you make everything else equal, and you change the NRP value on your state form, your bottom line doesn't change, because it's revenue in, revenue out. It changes in the future, you get more. Again, if your expenses go up because of that growth, then it does change the bottom line.
And it will.
But if your expenses are going up independent of that growth, which they are, and they are for us too, right? That you're not losing money to the NRP just because your expenses went up independent of the program. The NRP is zero. So your expenses went up and you're delaying the revenue that you could have gotten from the NRP. But on its own, it does not increase your mill levy. So I just want to,
from my
say that is that
understanding,
it's gonna go up.
The NRP
And I don't
amount
want to have the
affects
same conversation
our
in
mill
2
levy,
years.
because he has to plug it in to calculate to give it to us.
Yes, but it spits out the number, like it gives you the number. Based on how much
How
you
much
collected in
rebate.
revenue, based on how much you collect.
Guys, none of this has anything to do with neighborhood revitalization plan.
But it does
How it
because-
should be modified.
But it does, because the
The
number's
horse is
going up
dead.
next year, no matter what we do
This
today.
horse is dead.
Yeah, we agree,
We're-
we have some things that we agree on, so we ought to focus on those things, is what we ought to focus on.
So the reason I say it is that independent of what we do, the number's going up next year. And it's going up the year after that, and it's going up the year after that. And it's actually gonna go up a lot because of the RHID area. And then it's gonna, cliff dive at some point in the next 5 to 10 years when they pay off that RHID.
Yeah,
Because that's included in that line.
I
on
think
state
it's up
form.
to, how long do they have to pay it off?
20 years, but for every house they build in there, it reduces, it's not gonna take 20 years. They have 56 lots to fill. If they fill 56 lots, it'll pay off very quickly. And it's 20 years or when it pays off. But what I worry about is if we look at it from the perspective of that number is gonna keep getting bigger. And then in a year, next year, do we have the same concern, right? Of now it's $1 million. So now we're just gonna cut the program completely. But that again is not gonna solve the problem. So that's why I'm talking about that. It doesn't actually, it's revenue in, revenue out.
May I ask a quick question? Listening to that just made me think, so that RHID development that's up there, those parcels with the new construction happening.
Yeah.
Are not allowed to take part in the NRP, correct?
Correct.
So you're still able to develop without the NRP in that
In the
neighborhood.
RHID, yes.
Wonderful.
Because it's the same mechanism. On your end and our end, the money gets collected and then paid back. It doesn't get paid back to the homeowner, it gets paid back to the developer, fronted the costs for, but.
So we should remove it from the target area. That's where you were going with
Yes,
that.
sir.
We should,
Yep.
and that way people who are looking at it
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, no, I just
That's
wanted to.
No, you're absolutely correct.
And yeah, we can carve that out.
So you gotta determine the area, then you have to determine rates. Is that the bottom line?
Yeah.
That you're comfortable with? Yeah.
Well, and length of time, and
Like,
I like the
Yeah, I think we're on the same page. I mean, you guys.
Yeah.
Can I ask a couple more questions, just because this would be how you guys determine it, because we were talking about solid waste, and we wanted to talk to you a little bit, if you don't mind, after this about that. But like the city tear down program of like, should that then mimic, right? The target area of dilapidation and all the things. And then also it speaks in here of the neighborhood revitalization area of defective or inadequate streets and alleys. So is that something you guys plan, like in accordance with these areas as well, to like do the whole thing? I guess I'm just trying to understand better to learn if all of that planning goes into these areas, the target.
In terms of when the target area was drawn up, I don't think so. It seems like they looked at the 43 plat, but I wasn't part of those discussions.
I
So
wasn't either. That's
I don't think they went through and did like a street study
Got
to
it.
find the areas that need more street work. We have our own internal list, street projects and priorities, I would say that maybe coincidentally, maybe because of exactly what we're talking about here, sure, it probably coincides a lot with the target areas that we're looking at, in part because those areas have a lot of traffic, right? So the streets get worn down faster. But we don't specifically look at that when we're determining projects.
Does the city tear down program sound like that would work as far as
Offering that discount for the tear downs.
just within that
the
target area?
Sure, yeah,
Okay.
I don't necessarily have a problem. As long as we can have non-target area for the rest of the city limits. I just think that it's really vital. I think that 85 million of the 160 million in value that's gone through the NRP is not in that target area.
So the alternative to this, if this program was never in place, you gotta roll the dice as to whether, how much of that $163 million would have been built. And how much of it wouldn't have been built.
And I never really know that, but
I know you won't ever know it, but. I think it's worth the risk to have some level of program in place to encourage. The growth. So you continue to have. I won't live to see the benefit of the taxes. Okay.
oh,
I won't be
Larry,
on the commission anyway, the final, nobody will, nobody will if it continues. But it's a good thing it's in place. Because your costs are gonna go up anyway, whether you decide.
So at the meeting last night, I believe our county clerk asked about a metrics and it would be nice to be able to see, what would our tax base be without this development? What would it be without this program? Because the people we've heard it. That's why we responded the way we did. We heard people say our property taxes are too high. And they weren't just talking about county. When they get their tax, when they write a check, it's one big check, right? They don't.
We get the blame because it's county.
Well, yeah, because they come here, they tend to, but regardless, when I pay mine, it's all three. And I look at all three entities and I say, okay, wow, this guy's come up or this person's come up. And so generally that's how it works. And I don't know, I just think that I would like a way for myself, if not others, to say this is how the NRP has positively benefited the community. Aside from the growth, how has it contributed to the degree that it has leveled off our taxes? Because honestly, I don't feel like 30 years of NRP has affected my taxes. The You know, and maybe that's a product of the evaluations. Maybe that's the bad guy, right? Is it the way the system works and we evaluate homes because they continue to go up. And it's a great thing if you're gonna sell, buy, but if you're gonna stay in your home, like Mr. Wilcox said, if you're gonna stay in your home for 40 years, you know, that dollar figure doesn't make a difference until you're gone, right? And then your family might, but you're not gonna see it. You're gonna continue to, so that's all. It would be great if we could do it. I don't know.
Well,
There's
I
a way
mean,
to do it, but
from the numbers I got from your appraiser. Right? This does not include the 300 most recent applications to the NRP because they're not through the program yet, right? And this is the number only of the final valuation of those improvements, meaning that this is a valuation for the properties that came off in 2008. That's the valuation as of 2008, right? So it's gone up a lot since then, but it's 163 million increase into the tax base that has gone through the program. Again,
that's total. That's all three entities or just the
this
entire.
is just the value. That's not the taxes. That's the actual property value of the improvements only.
Okay.
So
Assessed or
Mhm.
is that the,
assessed,
That's the
not
assessed
appraised,
value?
or the appraised value.
that's the
Yeah.
appraised value?
Yeah. So then you multiply that by 11.5. That's where I came up with last night. When I was talking to you guys that if based on the county's current mill levy, that'd be like 1.2 million of your revenue. Not accounting for any increases over time to the valuation of these properties. So bare minimum, 1.2 million of your ad valorem revenue has gone through this program. It's actually more than that because each of those properties have increased in value over time. So that's like, if you want a quick and dirty math, because it's, again, with the way that these are tiered and they come off the program, and then I'd have to go back to your appraiser and say, okay, now give me the current value of all of these, and that would be not fair to your appraiser.
And then you have to look and guess how many of those would have done it,
And
even if.
or a
NRP
portion
isn't
of it.
available.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one of those things that we'll never know. I mean, if to me, I would say 50% or better, but you know, you just don't know.
And then you can look at the number on your state form now. And say that's revenue that we're going to receive that's in the program now. So those 300 properties, right? We said, if I say it's 1.2 million in revenue, historically, it's 500,000 now that's in there that you'll get. So. Yeah.
Well, let's go with what we do agree on, and
Do you want to recap that?
well, I'm well with that. Increasing the minimums to 20,000, I believe, is what we were.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
good with that.
Then a tier of 20,000 to
Minimum
100?
investment to,
for the first tier. And then 100 to the whatever the cap for the second tier.
and that goal is to get a differentiation of caliber of homes to achieve the strategic goal of all affordable housing, not just high end or,
You mean with the cap?
yeah. Like the breakdown, the brackets of
Oh,
20,000 to 75,000 or 100 to 250 that you guys were rattling off earlier.
yeah, I mean, the current program has those brackets specifically, I think, to just say the more you invest, the more rebate you get. Up to a point if we put a cap on it.
And then the target area, 5 years. Percentage. And then talking to the appraiser on the administrative of the headache of the local incentive, whether or not that would be feasible or.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk to them.
Do something like add a year to it if you do the local.
Oh, well.
That's kind of the
we
easy
hadn't
way,
thought
instead of
about that.
changing the percentage,
Yep.
you basically create a new tier and it's like
Yep.
100,000 to 250,000 local
idea.
majority, 6 years instead of 5 years or something like that.
And giving a carrot instead of a punishment. for
Yeah.
it is better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good idea.
Yeah, year. Capping.
And then I would, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna throw out capping, yeah, come up with a number, either 250 or 300, somewhere in between. So that satisfies the local or the target area. It still gives incentive to the non-target area, but it, and I don't know. Well, you have some infills that are higher than 300 also. You do have occasionally somebody that will,
Mhm.
that will take part of the
Any
NRP.
idea what these houses on Unity ballpark?
The one on 7th and Unity?
Yeah.
They're between 250 and 300. They're 315, 250.
The one that just sold, yeah, was 315.
The one on the corner.
7th Street.
Yeah, 7th Street. The one on the
Yeah.
corner, I believe, was 250, and then the most recent one, 315, because he finished the basement.
He's got another one
I'm
right
still
now.
not in
Is that
favor
the
of
same?
non-target areas. Like the focus of this is where's the neighborhood that needs revitalization? That's the target. That's the goal.
Well. I don't know that disincentivizing non-target is the thing. I think you work to incentivize the target. But I don't know, you want to completely de-incentivize non-target. This is
So-
what you're talking about completely.
So what's the definition of non-target area? A non-neighborhood?
City limits.
No. Yeah, I don't-
Because
that's
that
the
gets
target.
blurry, super blurry.
Non-target city.
Now, you're talking this is just talking about city. What about rural of the county? Is
Well,
there?
you guys wanted to remove unincorporated, right?
So this
That's,
is,
I'm not doing a division of city and county. I'm saying neighborhood revitalization, that's the target. I don't care if your neighborhood's in Atchison, Effingham, Muskota. You tell me the neighborhood that makes sense based on the criteria that it's infill housing or risk or dilapidated structures, like the target area is the target area. I think.
Well, we want to grow in in the non-target area too. That's the point, right?
I keep hearing grow.
Yeah.
But we're not growing. Atchison isn't growing.
But we're not shrinking, and we should be. So we're growing.
Well,
And
how many
Frank,
new houses that have been built in the last
Well,
2 to 3?
new doesn't necessarily mean growing though.
but new grows the tax base, and that's what I'm talking about.
Agreed.
I'm talking about growing the tax base.
Okay.
I mean, population growth can also lead to growing the tax base, but I am okay generally with someone, building a house just outside the city limits in the county too, because that's still growing the tax base for you all,
Mhm.
and it's growing people who come in and spend money in the city and all of those things too. So I don't look at the raw population numbers as a guide maybe, but also I'm at 2020's weird. But I look at the growth of the tax base. You take an empty lot, especially one that was in the land bank, and you build a house on it. Again, as he said, doesn't cost us anything more. Theoretically, doesn't cost you much more. I mean, maybe if we grow 15,000 people, you gotta hire more people in the treasurer's office or something, right? But doesn't theoretically cost you that much more either. And yet the tax base has increased. So again, doing an all other things equal scenario, that one house reduced everybody else's taxes when it comes off the tax roll.
yeah, I don't have, as this is defined, because if you look at the rural, towns that are in this,
The whole city sold.
basically, I don't know if you would go. I don't know if it's necessary to say see how Effingham is just all target. I mean, is it necessary to define that as target, non-target, like the city did theirs? I don't know. I don't know if it's, or just leave it the way it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're just a few blocks by a few blocks and we drove around and they have empty vacant lots all over that
Okay.
need infill housing,
All right,
so.
so that should stay the same, and we should,
And their new developments also encompassed in that, so it'll be the same.
I mean, there's 3 empty vacant lots right behind my house. And it's out of the target area. That's, I mean.
So
like
should it be in the target area?
Well, then you want me to I mean.
I'm just
'cause
saying, like,
The issue then is
that-
we'd be redrawing the target area to include most of the city.
well, and to his point, Branston, I mean,
Yeah.
it's weird how,
If
and,
you want-
and I understand why. Thank you for that explanation of how
I didn't
used
do
to-
it, the city did it.
Mhm.
All I did is make the map because it was easier for us to create the maps.
If you would prefer for us to redraw the target area so it goes further south, further west, further northwest,
And then
and
you'll,
carves out Raven Hills, I mean, then I'm fine with that, but that actually would theoretically create more
yeah, I asked
of
about.
what you're worried about.
In my case,
I'm fine offering that to the whole city.
I asked about this specific spot.
Yeah, but
That's
I
all
mean-
I asked about.
which spot?
What I'm talking about is over
Was,
here.
was Branston. I
Which
just,
is
I
growing
was
too.
curious as to why it wasn't
Up here.
But
But
for
removing.
me, I think we accomplished that goal by reducing, putting a cap on. I would rather cap the non-target than just completely, disregard it, because you're still focused on the NRP. You're accomplishing the same goal. You're saying we are in it for the revitalization, but we're not. We do understand that there is growth beyond it. But
Well, and I think that's where it gets murky, if you're talking about growing the tax base, right, non-target area is countywide. I mean, I think for us taking a look at the part of the program is neighborhood revitalization and identifying those neighborhoods was kind of how all of this came up, so
I mean,
I mean, if
If we're
not
going to
focusing on
draw in to try to
neighborhoods.
connect, if we're including in the definition of a lot that would count as revitalization is an empty lot. Right?
I don't know that we're saying, we haven't defined all of that.
No, I know.
I was just saying I could provide you data if.
No,
you
no,
wanted.
no, I know. I'm saying that from Commissioner Quinn, I gave the example of the empty lots. In the neighborhood I live in, would definitely help the neighborhood if they were not empty lots, and would help the tax base if they were paying, instead of $500-600 a year, the taxes on a new home. So, but in that definition, then like Arbor Lane counts too.
yeah, and I would call that new development.
Arbor
So
Lane
if
is
we wanna-
completely empty lots.
I think you put basically that's new development. So then you have revitalization and you have new development. And so you don't want to leave them out. You don't want to leave new development out. And that's why I'm saying just put the cap on it, be done with it. Give it, leave it as part of the program. And,
My interpretation of that would be, I believe they use the word blighted. And that's not necessarily just a nice mowed vacant lot. I mean, it would be an area that was with the porches coming off or the driveway heaved up and just things like that you're actually going in to fix, repair, and possibly replace in that targeted area, and not every place with a vacant lot would qualify. It would have to be something that, I don't know if you'd need a minimum size to call it a target area or not, but I believe Casey's interpretation of it is more of a dilapidated, blighted area that is, you try to bring it up instead of a blanket program that serves all. Does that,
Yeah, and I mean.
is that my interpretation correct?
I think so too, and it's like, well. If that's the route we're going, then maybe we don't, I mean. Estates, whether they're urban or rural, are estates. There's no neighborhood revitalization based on dilapidated structure or risk, right? Like you want, you're going to do that. You want to do that. You're spending 5 to 700,000 on a new home, a tax rebate to the definition of neighborhood revitalization area. And maybe these were the discussions back when they said, oh, well, we'll just leave it countywide, open to all, like because we're veering.
From the start,
We're veering from,
like I said,
I'm probably the one that's been here the longest, because I remember when Trey Cocking and I believe it was Justin Prugent came to us to was that in 16 when we developed the enhanced downtown area? Is it Old Atchison? So was there, they had kind of a name for it. It was pre a date.
pre 1943.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that was the time when they created the enhanced district.
The downtown neighborhood or the downtown improvement district. There was a downtown
Yeah,
neighborhood.
That's something that's different.
There was a downtown development district, but it was about that time.
Yeah, but it might have been the same
did
time.
the hotel utilize that NRP? It seemed like
The hotel did has access to Star Bond,
Star Bonds, okay.
which is
Because it was about that time, and I was
Yeah.
thinking maybe that was because they were in a push to get that area into an enhanced district. Well, and earlier when I mentioned city, not so much city versus county in any way. What I was getting at is if we offer it as the county, our portion of the in the city, I mean, I don't think I could exclude the rule if there was a chance to create a enhanced district or what. I mean, to me, the rules stay the same, whether it's in the city or out. If anyone in the city was eligible to collect an NRP on a house between 150 and 300,000, I think then that would be countywide. I mean, that's where but if it had to be in a targeted area in the city, I think that translates into when you move into the rural. Then you would have a targeted area, maybe Potter would be a targeted area, then that would be the same as what we're talking about here. So I'm looking at it as the county portion of it being consistent in and out of the city. That was my question when I brought up it was the city thing. It wasn't, it's like whatever we decide, I think it needs to be fair to and kind of if rule applies in the city for the county portion, it does on the outside too. So that's what.
so, and I think that's just for us to determine, like, are we gonna utilize the neighborhood revitalization program for its original intent and what it's there? Or are we gonna incentivize and rebate people who are growing the tax base? Like, that's the question. Which one do we want to do? Because they look different.
I mean, the purpose as articulated includes new construction.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
New
Oh, yeah, it's
construction.
new construction could possibly be it, but
That's how
we could
Lynn
put
feels.
caps on it, but
But
I think
that's
we're talking
basic.
more about the original intent and targeted areas versus a blanket full county or full city program. I don't know where I'm exactly at yet. I'm still taking
Thank
it
you
in.
guys for having the conversation with us. That,
Yeah.
like, it's good to.
Well, I feel like we have several points that we agree on, so I think we can get to where we need to be. I don't know.
You can circulate amongst your commissioners a draft, right? If we get something over to you of like
Yeah.
writing down and then getting feedback of.
Yeah.
So we figured all that out. It just, we need to get signatures or.
Well, yeah, we can. Yeah, look at a draft, we can recommend changes or approve what you draft.
Something needs to go down on paper and then move it on as
I know,
expeditiously as possible.
I feel, Jesse, can you expand on your perspective from us? Because I hope like that shouldn't have it. We just have a different viewpoint than each individual municipality. And so that's what struck us of like,
Well, and what I
Holy.
was going to was when Commissioner Noel made the comment about large corporation or large company coming in and building and taking advantage of this program. That's where I was going with that. I'm all in favor of what we've discussed, and what I thought we discussed yesterday is to extending the program for 60 to 90 days, revisit it and come up with an agreeable plan after that. That's where I thought we were headed, but we've done all kinds of detours and discussed everything under the sun, but what we had talked about yesterday. That's my interpretation. And maybe, am I wrong in that interpretation?
No, I think we focused on several things that are gonna be implemented in the new version. So I think we've done more than just get away from the extension talk, but I think it's still valid. I don't have a problem with it. I think Commissioner Quinn said that if needed, she didn't have a problem with it, because honestly, I just don't see how it's gonna negatively, I don't think it's gonna negatively affect us to do that, but if we can put it out and get it out to you guys and get that consensus,
And 409.
and then, yeah, and then circulate it, then we can be done with it and call it good and be done with it. But
I think we have templates here to
yeah,
start with,
yeah.
and just tweak them as you feel,
yep, I agree.
and move on.
I agree. Yep.
So Commissioner Quinn, you would, you mentioned you're a stickler for deadlines.
Yeah.
And right now the 28th is the deadline, is that correct?
I mean, it's only 12:40 and we have the day for a workshop. So, I mean, I've been thinking about this and researching other counties and looking at our own since September 2nd. So I'm prepared to throw some ideas down and I mean, but again, one of three, like we have to get our heads together
One of
and
3, and that one of 3 is one of 7 or 8 that are party to the agreement, so that's
Yep.
so. 2 of, since we're here too, but. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, I say we adjourn and go to the workshop and get some of that done.
Sorry, I know we did all that on the record, sorry.
oh.
You have to
That's
take
all right.
minutes. All that.
Okay, so
Unless you,
yeah. So I wish Mark's not in here right now, but we needed to follow up on unfinished business with the solid waste fees.
Okay.
So we talked about that this morning too and have some totals based on tonnage and different things. So we'll get that because that was on our unfinished business. And then the project concern MOU, did we receive that back?
We did not, and I'm not sure that it got sent to them before very recently.
Okay.
Because I'll take responsibility for that, but it has now been sent to them.
Okay, awesome. Notices and communications, we do not have a meeting next week. Because it is election day on Tuesday, November 4th. You can vote early at the courthouse right now up until noon on Monday, the 3rd. So just reminding everyone about that.
Should we make it official the 9th of December to cancel that meeting?
Well, we have to of December.
Yes,
Yes.
because since he's going to K.S.A. and I've got a medical procedure.
Okay, so we'll cancel December 9th and then November 10th, we will canvass and then have a workshop after that.
And so no meeting on the 11th.
Correct. Okay.
Or on the 4th.
Correct.
That's 3 of the remaining 4 weeks.
Well, they'll meet on the 10th instead of the 11th.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so no resolutions, no executive sessions, so I would look for a motion to adjourn into workshop.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 3-0. We will go into workshop.